Hey Dream Drivers, we are throwing it back today to episode 279. This is a Driver's Ed episode where we're going to be talking about how to be more consistent. I think it's really important for us to reflect on that this weekend. So hopefully you enjoy this. If you're ready to listen to episode 279, please listen to this one again. You'll definitely learn a lot about what I think it means to be consistent and how you can just work on that in your own life and just give you some practical tips that you can start enacting today to start seeing some change. Remember, you guys, if you enjoyed this episode, I'm going to ask that you please share it with your community, share it with your friends, coworkers, tag us. We are Dreams and Drive across the board on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I love to see when you guys are sharing and posting about these episodes on your Instagram stories. So please continue to do that. So our Driver's Ed topic for today is how to be more consistent. I think that this is something that a lot of us struggle with. A lot of people always ask me, hey, Rana, how did you get Dreams and Drive to be where it is today? How did you make it to 275 episodes? And one of the main reasons was being consistent. And I think a lot of us struggle with that. So I wanted to share a few quick tips that I think will help as we head into the new year, things you can do now, things you can do in the future, and know that it is possible, right? Consistency is something that has to be practiced. It doesn't happen overnight. It starts with your mindset. It starts with you. So hopefully these 5 quick tips are things that you'll remember, and you can always revisit this episode whenever you need a reminder and when you need some encouragement or some inspiration on how to do so. All right, Dream Drivers. So let's get into these tips, right? The first thing I want to say is it's really not about who has the best idea, the most money, the most talented. As you guys know, sometimes the people with the best ideas don't get ahead. The people with the most money don't get ahead. The people with the most talent don't get ahead, right? It's about the people who have the most consistency and who show up and who are disciplined and who are willing to do the work, even when they don't want to do the work. So just remember that as we go through these tips, right? So number 1. If you want to be more consistent, number 1, you need to define your vision, your goal. What's your why? Before starting with anything, I think a lot of times we're trying to do things, we're trying to be more consistent, but we don't really know what we're trying to work towards. We don't have any clear, measurable goals. We don't know why we want to do something. What is our true, what's at the heart of what we want to do. So I would say if you want to be consistent, number 1, start with really defining what are your goals, what are your vision, why are you doing this, and be real with yourself, right? Like I told myself when I started Dreams and Drive, I said, I wonder what's going to happen if I show up every week for myself, because I was really tired of blogging and doing all this other stuff and not really seeing results, knowing I had talent but not seeing results. So that really did drive me, right? I had to figure out what was driving me, and it was I wanted to see results. I wanted my podcast to grow. I didn't want my podcast to just only have 50 downloads per episode for the rest of its trajectory. So I told myself, if I want all these things, I'm going to have to show up for myself and release a new episode every week, every Monday. That was a definition of consistency for me. And of course, there was a lot of things surrounding that, but I had to make sure that I was really, really honed in and really, really sure of what the overall vision was. So that leads us to number 2, small wins often. You need to jumpstart success. You need to jumpstart consistency by celebrating small wins often and also setting yourself up to have small wins often. So how does that look realistically? So for me, I'll use a podcast as an example. I had to, if I was going to be consistent and release an episode every single week, I was going to also have to then break down and make mini goals, right? If I want to release an episode every week, that means I need to, number 1, complete editing an episode every week, right? In order to get to that big goal, you have those small goals. And just by finishing editing an episode every week, I was like, all right, I'm on track. I'm doing these little small things, really conditioning a winning mindset in myself. I used to tell people all the time, like, don't start going to the gym, or don't expect going to the gym is going to make you become fit, right? Or don't think showing up, getting a gym membership is going to actually get you in the gym every day. You need to have a mindset that you're going to show up and go to the gym every day, that you're committed to wellness. And sometimes that starts even before you get that gym membership. So think about how you can create small wins. If you want to Be somebody who, all right, I want to work on my blog. I want to put out an episode every week. I want to have a new blog post every week. You need the pictures for the blog post, right? So, all right, you need to make sure that you at least take 3 photos a day. And taking 3 photos a day is going to lead you to have enough content so that you can make that 1 post a week. So once again, small wins often really help you create a winning mindset and condition yourself to be a winner. You have to be a winner. You have to really feel confident in order to be consistent. I'm so sure about that. You have to really, really, really hone in on how you can jumpstart wins and how they can be often, how you're constantly winning. And that can even be as easy as keeping a to-do list every day, all right? And checking things off as soon as things are done. Even small things, even if it's like wake up, brush your teeth. You're checking things off. You're a winner. You're a winner. That's going to make you feel more consistent. So then number 3, I'm going to be real here. You need to have a realistic plan, a realistic schedule, and a realistic accountability partner, something. Your schedule needs to work for you, right? I think a lot of times with being consistent, people try to do too much, right? They're trying to be consistent in too many areas. They're trying to do too much with too little time. Dream drivers, what does it mean to be Black and unlimited? It means being exactly who you are. To be unlimited in your potential, to be unlimited in your creativity, to be unlimited in your imagination, and to be unlimited in your vision. Throughout the year, join Walmart in amplifying the voices of Black brands and creators, giving them a stage to spotlight their unlimited brilliance. That's Black and Unlimited. Visit walmart.com/Black and Unlimited to learn more.
Yo, if you thought the McCrispy was bussin', hold up. Bacon and Ranch have entered the chat. Say hello to the Bacon Ranch McCrispy. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. At participating McDonald's, limited time only.
Scale back on what you're trying to do. Really scale back, right? I didn't say to myself starting off, all right, I want to put out 4 episodes a week with 5 guests per episode. No, I had to be really consistent and have a plan. 1 episode every Monday. Right? My episodes had a format. They were very easy to follow. I had to schedule what time they would come out, 4 a.m. I scheduled it. I used tools. I automated things on the back end that would help me be consistent with my goals. I also have very specific days that I recorded episodes on. You know, in the beginning, it was every Tuesday and Wednesday from 6 to 8. Those are my interview times. You need to schedule things. You need to commit to that schedule if you want to remain consistent. So don't be afraid to automate. Don't be afraid to get help. Don't be afraid to figure out how you can make things easy for you, right? Part of being consistent doesn't mean that your life now has to become overwhelming, has to be hard. It's really just making sure that you showing up the way that you said you were going to show up. And however you do that, or however you make sure that you're showing up, that's what's important. So remember, have a plan of some sort, schedule it. A lot of times people are afraid to put things on their calendar. You cannot remember what you don't remember. You cannot do what you don't remember, right? You cannot do what you don't know you're supposed to do. So by making sure that you always have things in your schedule, you're saying, all right, if I want to put out an episode every week, that means every Monday I need to devote Mondays from 8 to 10 to doing my podcast, to editing it, because that's a small win that will help me be more consistent. So don't be afraid to really break things out into smaller steps and schedule things. Make time and commit to that time. And just by putting time on your calendar, you won't have to find time, because that's the thing that really gets a lot of people. When you're not clear, when you're not organized, when you're not really scheduling and planning, you're then scrambling to find time to be consistent, and then you don't feel like you're winning, right? And why are you doing that? Because you're not really having the overarching goal in mind. Because if you have that goal in mind, you're going to want to make sure that you're winning. And by winning, right, you can also then make sure that you're scheduling and finding the time and putting that time, being intentional with your time. So number 4, I think this is really part of being consistent, is you need to know yourself. I can't really give you a lot of tactical stuff here. I really want to talk about some of the intangible things because knowing yourself will take you so far. In order to avoid burnout, which happens along this dream driving journey, no matter what type of dream driver you are, you're an entrepreneur, you're a 9-to-5er, you're trying to ascend in your career, it's really important that you know where your environment of flourishing is. How do you best work? How do you thrive? What kind of environment is conducive to your being consistent?
Walgreens knows you need your medications, but sometimes what you really need is a prescription for more time with your family or friends, or just more time to do what you want on a Saturday afternoon. That's why Walgreens offers same-day RX delivery to where you are. So you can get more than just your meds. You can get your prescription to save time at the pharmacy. And when you have pharmacy questions, which let's face it, we all do, Walgreens will be there for you with a helpful 24/7 pharmacy chat. So when you need to know, which med do I take before bed again? Or is it safe to have a glass of wine with my prescription? You can ask a Walgreens pharmacy expert that question, no matter where you are or what time of day it is. And that gives you more than just answers. It gives you your prescription for peace of mind. Delivery is available on eligible prescriptions only. See details at walgreens.com/prescription delivery.
You cannot expect a cactus to grow in a rainforest, right? Cactus really thrive in certain types of environments, and this may not even be true. I'm not a plant person, but just go with me here, right? Find the environment that you thrive in and make sure that where you are is not becoming your downfall. Sometimes people aren't only dream killers, but places and things can be dream killers as well. So you really need to assess your environment, assess who you're around, assess yourself, and saying, am I really setting myself up to be as consistent, as disciplined as possible? And I think that's an area that a lot of people aren't really thinking about when they're thinking about how to be more consistent is, are the people around you supporting you? Are you in a place that you can be consistent? So the next time that you're struggling, remember to think about that. Know yourself, because burnout is real and burnout really does affect consistency. And maybe it's even, all right, I know that I am most consistent, most impactful right when I wake up in the morning. To really make sure that you're changing your schedule or you're really utilizing and leveraging the times, places, things, people where you really are your best. And don't be afraid to commit and be intentional about leveraging those things. And along that same line, I think that even with yourself, consistency isn't always going to feel good. So you're going to have to push through discomfort. You're going to have to know, all right, it's not going to always feel good. I remember when I was in labor, my doula told me, like, you're avoiding doing the hard work, but in order to get this baby here, it's going to hurt. So accept that it's going to be discomfort sometimes, right? It's not always going to be very good, but you really have to push through that discomfort or use that discomfort and say, all right, it doesn't feel good right now, but I'm on my way to be consistent. And I know that by me being consistent, I'm going to be hitting these clear goals that I have. Number 5, measure success often. I like to say often because I think that it is really important. You have to really be smart. Check in, reflect, look at your reports, look at what being consistent has got you, because that will be motivation for you to keep going. I'm telling you, in the beginning, and I still do this, I have a report that comes to me every morning at 9:30 that tells me how many podcast downloads I had over the past 7 days. And I've been looking at that every morning for the past 5 years. And I know by my actions or by things that have been happening, how podcast downloads and the numbers have been affected. And just seeing that number, seeing what I'm being consistent, seeing that goal in a measurable format, which is the AKA podcast downloads, really does inform my way that I look at the podcast, and it informs the way that I attack. Now, I'll be honest, being consistent isn't always going to be possible. So when I had the baby, the first few months, I was really trying to figure out life as a new mom. And my consistency really did lag. But I had to face it and say, all right, I'm in a season. So don't be too hard on yourself when you fall off, but know that if you want to be consistent, you also need to find some kind of way to measure success or to measure that consistency. And I'm going to use a marketing term, KPI, your performance indicator. You have to look at how you're performing. How is this consistency affecting whatever your goal is, whatever it is that you're trying to do, and don't be afraid to tweak it, right? So let's go through these things again. Number 1, define your vision and goal. Small wins often, that's number 2. Number 3, have a realistic plan, a realistic schedule, right? And make sure you add in some accountability there, because accountability, telling other people what you're doing or having someone check in or checking in some way really does help you. Number 4, know yourself. You have to know how you thrive, where you thrive, your personal habits. Like, getting to know yourself along this dream driving journey is one of the most important things. And number 5, measure success often. There are a lot of other things that I did not talk about here, but I think when it comes to dream driving and really honing in on this personal struggle that a lot of us deal with, and it's also a professional struggle as well. How do you remain consistent, right? I think that this is where you start. And of course, you're going to add in more things. You're going to add in a team. You're going to add in tools. You're going to add in automation later on down the road. But these are like the core things of consistency that I think if you're able to master this stuff, you can then figure out all the big stuff later. So what's going to happen when you become more consistent, right? How does becoming more consistent really lay the foundation for where you want to go as a dream driver? Number 1, you're going to be more motivated. You're going to be more disciplined. You're going to be more confident. When you're consistent and you know that you'll get results, you're going to be confident. You're going to be able to get over fear because you know, all right, just by showing up, I am doing something. And that's going to help you a lot for a lot of people who are experiencing fear. And I think it's also going to help you know when you need to pivot and when you don't need to be as consistent anymore. Because with consistency comes expertise, and you may not have to put in as much work, or you may not have to do as much to get the same results. So consistency also helps unlock new levels of performance, new levels of life for you, right? It helps put things on autopilot so that new opportunities can arise. And I think that's the biggest thing for us dream drivers is figuring out, all right, how does one dream lead to the next dream? And being consistent and figuring out how to be more consistent will really lay the groundwork. I want to make sure that every month we're diving into a topic. These drivers ed topics are super important. And if you ever have any suggestions or things that you think we can talk about, maybe I do these episodes more than once a week. If you find them helpful, let me know. Send me a note on Instagram, social media, send me an email. I would love to hear from you. Remember, if you want to be part of our online newsletter and talk to me more online, hear more of these tips through our weekly email blast, just go to dreamsanddrive.com/join to sign up. That's dreamsanddrive.com/join to sign up. Remember to follow us wherever you are on social media. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We're at Dreams and Drive. And make sure to tag us and use the hashtag when sharing, searching content as well. The hashtag is Dreams and Drive. Guys, we're heading into a new year. We're heading into almost 6 years of Dreams and Drive. So remember, I want to hear from you. One of the reasons why I'm talking about consistency is because that's something that a lot of you guys said you're struggling with in our listener feedback survey. If you want to take the survey and enter to win some Dreams and Drive gear, some Dreams and Drive merchandise, just go to dreamsanddrive.com/survey. That's dreamsanddrive.com/survey to take it. All right, keep dreaming, keep driving, and we'll chat again in episode 280. Bye, guys.